Today we'll be learning how to use Social Explorer. It's an easy to use program that allows you to visualize spatial data and create beautiful informative maps. It also allows you to analyze characteristics of different locations. So the first step is getting access to it. And you can see on mine, it shows me that I have a professional plan provided by Columbia. If you want to access that, you can use the link in the module, or you can also go to Clio and search for Social Explorer, and it should be the first option. And once you click on the link, it will ask you to sign in to your Columbia account, and then it will take you to that same window where you'll be able to use the professional plan. So today we'll look at some of the different data sets that Social Explorer provides, and get started with the tool. So here you can see it has a data set on the United States with lots of data from the decennial census, and from the American Community Survey, which is also collected by the Census Bureau. If you scroll down, you can see they also have COVID-19 data. They have data on the voting population, elections, crime data, business patterns, environmental data, and then they also have some data outside of the US. If you scroll down, you can see they have data on Ireland, UK, and Canada, and then they have some world development indicators. So this is really a tool best used for the US, but they do have also some other data sets that you can look at. So today we'll look at one of the most commonly used one, which is this on the United States and census data. So we'll click Explore, and this will take us to its interface. If you haven't used this before, you can use the tour, take a tour of the program, but I will also walk you through some of the things. If you want to take a tour, you can click on these icons and click Take a Tour. So you can see here, this window tells us what data we're looking at. It's saying we're looking at population density per square mile. It tells us what year the data is for, 2019, where the data is coming from, ACS, the American Community Survey, and how it was collected, which is the 5-year estimates. And it tells us what geography we're looking at. We're looking at it at the state level, and what our map looks like. It's a shaded area. If you hover over states, you can see the data for each of the states. And then at the bottom right, you have your legend. So you can change what geography the data is at. So from state, you can look at it at the county level. You can also look at it at the census tract level, among many other geographies. All of these will not always be available. It depends on the data that you're looking at, what geographic level it's available at. But this data looks like it's available at all of these levels. So let's stick to county for now. If you want to change your data, you can click Change Data, and you have a few different options of how to do that. So you have categories that Social Explorer has kind of put together. You can click All Data by Source, and that allows you to say which data set you want to pull from. So if you have a specific data set in mind, for example, let's say you want to look at something specifically from the 2000 census, and then you can find the table that you want to look for and find whatever variable. You can also use the search function. And then if you've done others before, you can have them saved. You can also just generally search. So I find the categories most useful and easiest to use. So in categories, let's say, for example, we want to look at something on median income. We can click on income, and we can either look through what options we have here. So for example, here it shows us how many households earn less than a certain amount. We can keep scrolling. We can see household income by race, but let's just look at generally median household income. And if we close this, we can see what that data looks like. We're not seeing a lot of variation, and that's just because of the way the legend is. In the next video, we'll see how we can change that. But for now, let's see, we can change the geographic level if we want to see more detail. That's what's happening within states. We can even go more detailed than that if we go into census block groups. Once you start going more detailed, you might start seeing places where data is not available, because there's either not enough data collected for those areas, or the population is too small and they don't want to de-anonymize the data. You can also see how something has changed over time if you just click on these options. Let's say, for example, for this median household income, we want to see how it's changed within the past 5 years. If we click here, it'll then do a calculation for us. The blue shows places where it's increased, and the red shows places where it's decreased. And and if we hover over it, we can see what percent change has occurred. So for example, here it shows us there's been a 12.92% increase. We can change the color ramp that's used by clicking on the as percent change button, and then you have the color palette and you can change which color palette is used to represent that data. Let's go back, let's remove this 5-year past, go back to the United States, and let's say we're only interested in a specific area, maybe we're only interested in New York City. We can search, or we can also zoom in. So I will write out New York and let it zoom in. Well, it zoomed in, I chose New York, the state, by accident, but next to it, it'll tell you what type of location it is. So if we want to zoom into the city, we'll click on this one, which is place. And you can save this as an annotation if you want, or you can just keep it zoomed in this area. If you want all the data around it to disappear and only look at New York City data, you can click on this More Options tab, click Mask Map Data, and then choose the ones that you want to keep. So I'll stick to the county level and then just choose the counties that make up New York City. And then click Done. And now we'll only see data for these counties. And so now if I'm interested in here, I don't want to stick to the county level because then I'm only seeing, one value for Manhattan. But instead, if I want to see some detail within it, I might change to the census tract level so I can see what's happening inside the city. You can also add annotations if you're interested in particular areas and you want to highlight those. So for example, if I want to point out Morningside Heights on this map, I can search up Morningside Heights, click on it, and then once it pops up, I can click Add as Annotation, and then close this, and now that will stay highlighted on my map. If you want to just add a annotation by just adding a point or creating a outline without searching for it, you can also click on this More Options button and click on Annotate Map. And then you can click on either a place marker and then add it, or you can choose one of these other options depending on what you are interested in highlighting. So we'll stop here for now, and in the next video, I will show you all how to change the legend so that you can see more variation in your data.